Hey VC, hope you're doing okay. This is a quick video just in support of, well, it's actually an entry into Dean's 100 subscribers contest, which he did have to remind me. I've been really remiss, it has to be said, at either watching videos or making them to the same extent as I was doing maybe 6 months or so ago. Mainly because of work, often on, I jokingly call it the red eye into Birmingham in the morning, which has actually increased my ability to read a lot, but not so good on the videos. Anyway, back to Dean's contest. It's a great idea. It's based on the Tom Cruise film Jerry Maguire, which is an excellent film. As Dean said, it's really easily very watchable. Cuba Gooding Jr. and Zoe Wells-Egger, that's right, Zellweger, whatever, you know who I mean. Anyway, the premise of the film is that Jerry Maguire sets off on his own as a sports agent, and he's only got one client, but it's predominantly a love story, and there are two very famous lines in it. One is you complete me, and the other one is you had me at, or she tells him to shut up and says you had me at hello. Anyway, it's a film we've watched a lot. We use the you complete me as a joke. He was actually then featured in an Austin Powers film. So let's just go on. It was the first bit was you complete me. So it's albums that you couldn't possibly do without. So first one is, it'll be no surprise to anybody in the VC that if I didn't have this album in my collection, first bought it when it came out in 1980, had it ever since. It's a constant companion. This is my very original copy. Bought it one lunchtime in Mansfield. I think it was in what was then Revolver Records, but after I'd finished work at Marks and Spencer. So that way, I've done videos about this before. It's well documented. It just means so much to me about the time. I couldn't be without it. If somebody stole it, I would go and buy another one immediately, and I'd be happy doing so. So there is that one. The other album that I've selected for this section is a bit of a strange one. So, going back to my childhood, my mother was quite a big Frank Sinatra fan, but my dad was one of these people who, if he didn't like it, everybody had to know about it, so he would go on about Frank Sinatra, so I never really gave him much time. And then a few years ago I bought a record collection, and in there was a reissue of this album. Not this particular one. This is this is actually an original issue, but it's Frank Sinatra, Songs for Swingin' Lovers, recorded with the Nelson Riddle Orchestra. This is an original one. I don't know if you can see that there, but whoever was listening to it put ticks next to all the songs. What's that about? Anyway, I had the reissue, I listened to it and fell in love with the album. Anybody who really thinks that Robbie Williams is a good singer has to listen to this album, because when you've listened to this you'll realise that Robbie Williams is a passingly reasonable singer, but this is real singing. And whenever I am stumped for something to listen to on a Saturday night, or I've had a few glasses of wine, this comes out. And I've had several copies. I encouraged Harry to have a copy. This happens to be an original, and I did actually pick up a mono copy of a reissue recently, which I'm just keeping to one side for the time being. But it's another one of my top 5 favourite all-time albums, and which is not representative of what my collection is normally about. So they complete me. However, some others had me at hello. I've got lots of examples. I could be going on for days about this, but there's just 2 that I want to show you. Again, that if you've watched any of my videos, you will realise that I've told this story before, so I'm sorry for being boring, but it actually completely fits the premise of the competition. In the summer of 1982, I dropped out of the college that I was at, and I went to another college in Nottingham, Trent, which was one of the best things I ever did actually. And because I started the term about 2-3 weeks in, I didn't have any mates to start with. Don't feel sorry for me, that didn't last long. Anyway, every lunchtime I'd go to what was then and still is my favourite record shop of all time, Selected Disc in Nottingham, and there was a song came on, and it was so good I had to go and listen. I had to go and ask at the desk what it was, and it was from this album, which is Forever Now by the Psychedelic Furs. And it was actually Forever Now they were playing, and they put, which is the first track on side 2. And it's an album I've loved over the years. Could always listen to it any time. When CDs, the advent of CDs, I then bought it on CD and listened to it a lot on there. And it was interesting that, you know, you get to know people in the VC, as I did. Rob and I got talking about it one day, and it transpired that in fact it had been released in the States in a different format, and that was the format. This is the copy that Rob sent me, and again, people know Brett's a massive fan of the Psychedelic Furs. And it was a topical conversation between myself and Rob at the time, as to why the Americans were treated to a different running list. So Forever Now is actually the first track on side 1 of this album. So I've got 2 copies, different sleeves, different running orders. Oh, and in there's the ticket from when we saw them at Rock City in Nottingham, which was last year in July. So great band. So, but this one had me at hello. Then there's another story. My favourite all-time U2 album is the Unforgettable Fire. I like the previous ones like War. I like Boy. I like October. And then as time went on, for some reason I just sort of fell out of love with U2, and there was no particular reason. There was no album that I decided I didn't like. I didn't think they were rubbish. Somehow they just sort of fell off my radar, and then when I got into the VC, started watching Brett and Jesse's, and I think it was Jesse probably, I think he did a feature of his U2 singles, and then there was a conversation. I went to Henry's Records in Burton, where I'm a very frequent visitor, as you know, and I looked in the rack and I found this. This is Zooropa U2, and I had not bought a new U2 album on vinyl for maybe 30 years. Not quite as long as that, 27, 28 maybe. I'd had CDs and like No Line on the Horizon and things like this, but anyway, I bought this and I put this on, and from the start of Zooropa, side 1, to when Lemon starts, which is my favourite song now, I just think it's a fantastic song, I thought, what have I been doing? So I quickly went out and started building up my my U2 collection on vinyl, and that I'm getting there now, but there's a way to go. And I actually paid quite a lot for this. I can't remember exactly, it was something like 38 quid, which is a lot, but you don't ever see it in the rain. You think it's one of those you have to buy if you see it. So that's it. Great idea, Dean. I don't normally do these competitions. I do sometimes, but they have to really grab me. And I know you did chiv me along, so do my competition. You've got a good chance of winning. There hasn't been many entries. Well, I do know now there have been some more, because I've seen Mr. Hall of Fames and I've seen Maggie's, I think. So there are others. Those are my entries. It's the taking part, not the winning, and I firmly believe that in this case. So hopefully here's to your next 100 subscribers. I checked mine today as well. I got 250, but then I've been going at it longer, so that you'd expect that. My next video will be, just to close, will be a review of this book, which I've been reading for the past week or so, and this is Marcis Autobiography. This is an excellent read. I read a review by the New York Observer 2 days ago, which was the biggest load of rubbish that I have ever read, but more of that later when I explain why. Take care, VC, and I'll see you soon.